Have you been wondering why agents, very good and highly productive agents, have been making the move recently, especially here to Real Broker? Well, if you are, this is a great video. We're going to be authentic and real here, as our YouTube channel says, and just do a little interview style video with a phenomenal agent and person here, Dave Johnson, as to why he just made the move over to Real. So stay tuned. This is going to be insightful because I'm probably going to ask some questions to Dave right now that you're wondering yourself. All right, Dave. So if you don't mind, let's just start off by letting people get to know who you are. What's your introduction, if you will?
Wow, how much time do we have, right? You know, this is supposed to be a 7 to 10 minute video. No, that's a loaded big question. Yeah, so I've got a lot to say about this. I've been married almost 30 years to an incredible wife. I've got 5 kids, 4 biological, 1 adopted. Great story behind that. I'm a grandfather by 3 times. So
shocking, yeah.
I know you guys are all thinking shocking. Grandkids are amazing. I've done a lot in my life. I've run businesses. I've started businesses. I've run a horse ranch, which is amazing, and talking about drinking from the fire hose. I've been just a serial entrepreneurial type guy my entire life. I also spent 10 years as a Secret Service agent in my younger days. Traveled 220 days a year plus most of my career. Been on every continent besides 2. So I've had a lot of storyline in my life. Built companies in this space predominantly. It's funny getting my opportunity to understand networking and building networks while I was an agent early in my 20s. My wife had came to me and asked and said, "Hey, we want to make a couple extra bucks." And at that time in our life, we just got two young kids. We're starting a family. Actually, we didn't even have 2. We had 1 and 1 on the way. Mm-hmm. And we kind of saw the road down the way, and we said, well, having some extra income would be nice. I mean, who wouldn't want extra income when they're in their early 20s, exactly. Having a few kids and trying to figure out bills and, mortgages and can we buy this house? The peril of every early 20-year-old new family. Yeah. And my wife said, "Hey, I had this great opportunity. I love this product. I've been using it for a couple of months." And I was like, sure. So I checked the company out, which I typically do for anybody, right? Same kind of thing. Going through the leadership of the company, making sure they're not, wanted criminals or anything like that. I'd never done anything like this. And, we had small goals at the time. It was interesting, looking back 25 years, we wanted to make a few $100. That was it. Just supplement some income that I was bringing in. It's funny to look at your journey 20 years ago because, you think you were always this big thinker.
Right.
Right. You're like, oh, I was always this big thinker. I'm like, no, man, I wanted to make $300-400. At that time, it was like $300-400, based on the rate of inflation, it was probably like $2,000 now. I don't know. I don't know what the math is, but it was significant enough for us to have that conversation. So that's what we did. She started to, use the product and share it with her friends, and my wife's amazing saleswoman and just influencer and connector of people. And that little opportunity grew into a massive opportunity over a few short years. Mm-hmm. I mean, honestly, like 36, 48, 60 months. It went from, I think our first check was just a few bucks, like $5 or $6. It was really humbling when we get that first check. Everything was paper. And it started to grow into 6-figure checks monthly. So it changes the game when you start looking at something very differently, when you don't have a context for it. Mm-hmm. So you start off with it being just, hey, just hopefully it'll pay me a few $100. And maybe that's what you're thinking of Real. Like, hey, it looks the same as other brokerages out there. Trust me, it's not. It's not.
And we're going to get into it after this.
Yeah, 100% it's not. Take it from a guy who's been doing this professionally for 25 years. It can be if you treat it that way.
Sure.
If you treat it ordinary, it'll be ordinary.
Sure.
If you treat it extraordinary, it'll be extraordinary. Trust me.
Yeah.
Because my framework was a few $100, and we quickly hit a few $100, and then it got out of control where now your brain opens up to like, what are the possibilities? Mm-hmm. So that allowed me to retire at 32 years old. So and for the first time, I'm not retired now. Retirement for a guy like me is horrible. So, but it allowed options, I like to say.
Yeah.
At 32, I had options I would never have. And it opened up a landscape of different businesses and different relationships and opportunities that I never saw coming.
That's awesome. Wow. Well, I'm excited to ask you a few more questions then about this.
Awesome. Let's do it.
All right, Dave. So as you know, I have a couple questions here for you, several actually, and I'm going to ask you the next one, which is the why, right? The big why. What is the biggest reason as to why you decided to come to Real Brokerage?
Well, that's a great question, Kelly, because honestly, I think everybody has their own why, and I think why is very important to develop before you do anything. So for me, I'm going to be 100% honest and real, right? No pun intended. There's so many of those.
Go for days, right?
We just keep going. For me, it was all about the passive income strategy. As you know, Real's been around for a number of years. They're publicly traded. And I just felt, and I think I was really honest and transparent with you, is the opportunity for Real, the way it's positioned not only here in Arizona, but across the country and into Canada, presented to me a really great opportunity to build a network, to share and invite with that opportunity for passive income, because it really builds a long-term legacy for where I want my family to be. So that was my big why. Of course, you get into culture and you get into friendships and you get into working with talented agents like yourself. Those are just add-ons and extras to me, but the real big why was the passive income strategy.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't blame you one bit there.
No, it's true.
Awesome. Okay, Dave, so question number 3 here. Where do you see Real adding the biggest value to agents in our specific marketplace?
Honestly, outside of the passive income strategy, which is the main talking point, obviously I've just mentioned it, the other areas is the collaborative aspect of it. We've already seen agents that have come over in just a few short weeks start to collaborate massively, start to build their own cultures with their individual teams, and then how that parlays collectively into the larger Real group here in Scottsdale. So for me, if you're a single agent or you're a small team or even you're a boutique brokerage, to me that's the biggest advantage is how we collaborate and work together as we build the company the way we want it to be in Scottsdale, Phoenix metro area.
Love it. Awesome. All right, Dave. So what would you say your biggest contribution is going to be for other Real agents here in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area?
Great question. I think for me, going back over 20 years, my wife and I have had the privilege of building networks out, not only here, but across the globe and different continents, and just really having a understanding and maybe a vantage point in that. So for me, honestly, if I have a gift to bring to the local Real folks, would be to help them and mentor them and walk alongside of them in building their networks. And it's very strategic. We hear a lot about what we don't like in building networks. That's obvious. I mean, we don't have to go very far listening to other agents' experiences about what they don't like and maybe some of the misnomers or misinformation out there about building networks. So maybe my biggest advantage to you guys as other potential Real brokerage agents is how we can build the right way, collaboratively, enthusiastically, creatively, that will transform, trust me, will transform your life in the years to come in big ways.
Yeah, I know we're all big about attracting too as well, right? And guys, I'm serious. If you went to sleep or kind of like started thinking about lunch or something, right? While Dave was talking about that last question, please hear what he said is that we know that in the EXP models and the Real models, these models of building networks and passive income in real estate that are kind of, obviously newer in the space, there's not a lot of people that have true expert advice because they've been there, done that, like Dave has with other network companies that he's built out over the past 20 years or so. So to have an expert truly in that side of things, because most of us are just real estate people like me, but have that expert that can come on side yourself as well, to help you build your network, because I assume that's the reason why, or one of the reasons why you came or are going to come to Real. That's huge. Don't miss that, please. That is huge to have that expert in your corner. So,
absolutely.
And also, Dave, to that same point, Dave actually jumped on the Cook & Associates real estate team here to actually help our agents on the sales side, the production side, because one of the big things that he was stressing is that hey, this network thing, passive income, revenue share is all great, but if you don't have production, you don't really have anything.
Well, that's the pink elephant in the room. You know, our product is real estate.
Yep.
So we can grow the biggest networks like you and I have talked ad nauseum about. We can grow the biggest networks we want out there, but if we're not good at selling our product, which for you and I and for the other agents out there is real estate, if we're not good at that and competent at that and successful in that, we're going to have a real hard time, even if we grow a big network, is really understanding that passive income strategy behind it.
Yeah, it's huge.
So yeah, you sold me on the team side too, and I'm glad we did, because you know the Kelly Cook name and the brand, the Cook and Associates platform here in Scottsdale is phenomenal. You know, kudos to you building such a great brand over the last decade and a half.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it, Dave. Thank you. All right, Dave. So moving along here, this is some good stuff. Where do you see the real opportunity in the next 1 to 2 years here?
That's probably the most exciting question that we're going to talk about today, because that's potential, that's opportunity. That's why maybe you're logging in or listening to this YouTube channel, or maybe even asking yourself these questions over the last 6 or 8 months like I have, when you're starting to vet an opportunity. So for me, in the next 12 to 24 months, like we've talked about strategically, is I see growth. We see that hockey stick curve. And when you're looking at these types of companies, when I say these types of companies, the companies in these network building spaces will typically hit a trajectory, and they all have. We go back.
Even outside of real estate.
Even
right?
outside of real estate, yeah. We can go back 20, 30 years and kind of show you and whiteboard these companies out, and they all kind of do the same thing. Now, the times that they do them are very different. Some are 2 or 3 years, some are 5 or 6 years. It has a little bit to do with their economic growth, you know, their network growth. But when those meet and collaborate, kind of like what I saw at Real, and with other passive income strategies in the real estate space, they take off. So from what I'm seeing, based on financials, based on agent count, based on agent growth, I'm seeing a hockey stick curve in the next 1 to 2 years, and we're already experiencing it. I mean,
yeah. We in a mini, right?
In a little microcosm, I think the next 24 months are going to be fun.
That's exciting. That's what's exciting, and that's what I thought, guys, when I came over. But to hear someone like Dave, who's experienced that in network companies outside of the real estate as the product, was really reassuring and affirmed kind of the decision. So that was really cool to hear. Well, that segues perfectly, Dave, here, because the next question is, what's the importance of the timing for the real opportunity for every real estate agent out there?
Well, that's a great question, because timing in these companies, when I keep saying these companies, I'm saying building a network type company.
Revenue share.
Yeah. I'm speaking of the passive side. I mean, we all understand the timing of a good market or a bad market, and hopefully, you get through the bad markets to the sustainable good markets, and we can kind of track those in real estate over the last, 100 years.
Yeah.
Certainly for the last 20 or 30. But in these companies, it's really important that you look at the timing and the strategy behind it, because it means a lot.
Yeah.
Because not everybody can sell this product. Unlike a product-based, consumer-based network, anybody can sell whatever it is that company is providing, right? You don't have to have a professional license. You can just have a passion about the product.
Right.
Well, you and I can maybe tell everybody about the product that we're using, and there's hundreds of opportunities out there. Well, here you have to be a real estate agent. So you start to go down to simple math. You start looking at the metrics of growth over companies like this and other companies that are in our space, national brokerages that we all know about, So you start looking around and you start realizing how agent count matters. So going from 0 to 5,000 is a big step. 5,000 to 10,000 agents is a big step. And then you look at other companies that have, gone before us that are at 50, 60, 80,000 agents, and you start to realize where they're at in market share. Are they 60% market share, 80% market share, closer to 100% market share? Well, you can start to track that based on other companies that have been around for 30, 40, 50 years. And I like to say that we're well below the 10% market share, growing to 20, growing to 30. You get my point. Yep. Is where you have to ask yourself the question, where do you want to be introduced to a company like Real, growing a network? Do you want to be below 25% market share, or do you want to be above?
That's huge.
I think we're well below the 25% market share.
Okay.
Getting there fast.
Right.
I'm glad where we're in the positioning that we're in.
Yep, absolutely. That's huge, guys. Don't miss that. The timing is everything.
Everything.
Yep. Okay, Dave, so we're wrapping up our questions here, guys. We're almost done. But what is the most admired aspect, in your opinion, about the Real opportunity here with the Real Broker?
Outside of the passive income strategy opportunity, I always look at companies in various aspects. For me, leadership is key. The companies that I've been part of, I've always had great leadership. I think there's so many places to go.
Yeah.
Like, why not join something that has amazing leadership? So for me, I immediately go after looking at financials and the opportunity where it is in market share, I'll go to who leads the company. And I always look on how they got there, what propelled them to lead a company, to grow a company, to take the risk. Because if you've never grown a company, if you've ever started something and you don't know what that's like, it's hair raising. It is like drinking from the fire hose every single day of your life until it gets successful.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't had kids yet, I mean, I know there's probably a lot of agents out there that are either, not in a relationship or not married yet, or maybe not, thinking of, starting a family. After raising 5 kids, it's like every day is like, is a brand new baby stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Getting to them to walk stage. So I always have incredible admiration for people who are those entrepreneurial type people who go out and say, I'm going to build this, and then they have the grit and tenacity to see it through. And all of my research on the individuals that lead real, fascinating, phenomenal. So, it's a good recipe for success.
Yeah, a lot of real estate background, which is huge.
Right.
Not just business building background, or not just tech, which are important, and they have that, but real estate backgrounds as well, which is really
coaching, mentoring, real estate, technology. When those things start to have synergy and come together, and everybody's committed to the process through the good times and the bad times, because when you're growing a company, there's a lot of bad times before you get to the good times, and that's a huge proponent of why I'm here.
That's huge. Well, guys, I really appreciate you watching our video here, and if you have any questions for myself or Dave, please feel free to reach out to us. Dave, where can they find you if they have questions more about real, or just the whole aspect of network marketing, revenue share, passive income, etc.?
Absolutely. You can feel free to reach out for me at dave@cookandassociatesaz.com. Glad to start a conversation with you and walk alongside of you as you start to look at this opportunity and maybe think about it as a potential journey for yourself and your family.
Well, Dave, I really appreciate you. I look forward to what we're gonna be able to do in the next 1 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years, 1 to 5 years maybe, whatever it is, but it's gonna be condensed and it's gonna be right, I think.
It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
You bet. Glad to be here.